Welcome back guys for another Random Rant Wednesdays. This week I've decided to go away from the negativity because quite a few of my recent ones have been quite negative just because I tend to rant about them. But this week I'm going to do something that I love again, and I'm going to talk about nostalgia. You know, the beautiful thing that you get to think about every once in a while, how things used to be, how brilliant the world was, how brilliant television was, how brilliant anime was. This week, it's going to be 90s nostalgic anime. So the first one I want to talk about is an anime that not many people have seen. I've mentioned it in a previous video, Outlaw Star. Now, this was a one-season anime that was shown on whatever it was that was on Cartoon Network after, Watershed Hours. I remember just watching, I think I watched Dragon Ball Z when that was on at that time, and then left it on, and this anime came on called Outlaw Star. And it's so nostalgic for me because, it's staying up late as a kid and getting to see one of my first proper animes, as I would call it, because Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon were kind of like what got, I first ever saw. But Outlaw Star is what I would call like a proper anime. It's got mecha battles with these cool spaceships that have grappler arms, and they're battling, and they've got the cool main character with the red hair. And it's so nostalgic for me because it felt like it had everything from the crazy Japanese, anime hairstyles, coloured hair, had a cat girl in it, had a Hot Springs episode, like literally everything you could want from an anime. And just thinking back to it, I loved watching it. I proper made sure that every single night, I think I recorded it on video. I did it for a few Dragon Ball Z episodes, but Outlaw Star, because it's not massively popular, I recorded it on video so I could rewatch it. I think I sat and got a certain VHS, that's how old I am, and I put it in, wrote Outlaw Star on it, and I recorded every episode, and I'd sit there and pause the recording when the adverts came on, press record really quick when it came back on, and did that for every single episode all the way through. And then I got the DVD of it, which I actually lent out to someone and never got back. Thanks. But I probably will buy it again in the future because it is a nostalgic anime for me. And I watch it on streaming, but I'd love to have it physically just so I know that I will never lose it. So this next one that I'm going to talk about, I cannot remember, this is how long ago, that I watched it. Tenchi Muyo. I don't know how I found it. Maybe it was on Cartoon Network After Hours kind of thing. But I just remember sitting and watching this. I think it's kind of like Outlaw Star, Dragon Ball Z, and I was looking for these other ones that I could try and watch. And I remember it being really weird, like, because it's got this old witch, I think she's a witch or like a demon-y kind of thing. I'm sure she was like mummified, and he does something and it brings her back to life, and she's this like crazy harem kind of girl that's all over the main character, but he's it's one of those where she looks 20 or something, but she's like thousands of years old. And it was a fun anime. I remember getting some giggles out of it. And they've got that's another one that's got everything you could want from it. There's a Hot Springs episode. They've got a cute little, I don't know, he's like a mouse rabbit thing with like a gem on his head. And it's just one of those fever dream animes that I'm nostalgic for it, and I do need to give it another shot and just watch it again, just to see if it's bad or if I do actually like it. But it's got that place in my heart from watching it when I was younger, where it really gave me that drive to watch more anime. And it's proper crazy and out there, and it's got magic but also space. like it's kind of like a space opera thing, kind of like Outlaw Star, but it's got magic involved and there's like cool fights in it, and the main character is just this like dopey teenager who's like, you know, gets nosebleeds when she takes her clothes off or whatever. It's just proper weird kind of Japanese media. I'd give it a watch if no one's ever seen it. Give it a watch, because I'm gonna look for it online and give it another go and see how well it holds up these days. But I definitely remember and I'm very nostalgic about Tenchi Muyo. So the next one I will talk about is one that needs no introduction. It obviously got a terrible adaptation on Netflix, because when have Netflix made a good anime adaptation? Part of, let's say, One Piece. I haven't watched it because after the other ones, I've been hurt too much. I just can't bring myself to watch it. Plus, I have never caught up with One Piece because there's a billion episodes. But Cowboy Bebop, this is another one where I feel like I watched it on Adult Swim. I can't remember if it was on the late night Cartoon Network or if I watched it on Adult Swim, because I know that it's a bit more risque and, like, you know, has more mature themes involved. But Cowboy Bebop is very nostalgic. Like, as soon as you hear the intro, you know it's Cowboy Bebop. Anyone who's watched it, you know the beautiful saxophone intro. And every single night that I'd watch it, it'd be waiting for that intro to kick in. It's like if you were, you know, making a cup of tea or using the toilet, as soon as you heard the, that's it, straight downstairs, jump on the sofa, watch Cowboy Bebop. Now, this is something I can definitely imagine rewatching now, because it's so iconic, and I don't think I've watched it since I originally watched it. So I'd love to go through it. I can have that, like I spoke about with Death Note, that if it's been a while, you can watch it and enjoy it like it's the first time again. And that's what I think I need to do with Cowboy Bebop, because the nostalgia is strong. And I think everyone's had that, you know, if you were an older boy / teenager and you were watching Faye Valentine, it was like, whoa, this is what anime girls can look like. Whoa. She's, you know, she's always that thing that people dress up as, because she's so iconic with the yellow kind of tank top, leathery kind of thing. I think it was like yellow leather. I might just be imagining that, but I'm sure it's like shiny, so it's meant to be leather. But it's got such stuff like existential dread, and it tackles things like loneliness and, you know, confronting one's past, I'd say. And it's got, you know, it's got Spike, who's the supremely cool main character, and then it just feels like, you know, they ended up as like this family. And it's another one that's like the last two that I've mentioned. It's kind of like a space opera, but it's got this cool noir feel to it, like, and it really showed how they could make animes in the 90s, because there just doesn't seem to be that feel these days that people care enough in the animation and the style and how the characters are portrayed. And the voice acting these days is great, because I feel like a lot of people my age or slightly younger have watched anime and kind of gone, I could do that better. But the anime and everything else doesn't seem to have it there. The voice acting, getting amazing for English voice acting, which I'm going to do a video about between dub and sub, because I have some feelings about that. But Cowboy Bebop, it's just one of those where I watched it and was like, whoa, this is, you know, this is the other side of anime. Because Outlaw Star has got some mature themes, and I suppose it does deal with loneliness and, you know, all these, there's some quite deep topics in Outlaw Star. But stuff like Dragon Ball Z, you know, it's kind of like, oh, that guy is stronger than me. Time to power up and train, and then I'll beat him. There's not really any proper deep, meaningful moments in those kind of animes like Dragon Ball Z. I think Cowboy Bebop was one of the ones that I first watched and saw how dark and deep you can go with these things. So Cowboy Bebop, amazing series. Don't need to talk about it much more because I'm sure everyone's already seen it or they know of it. But if you haven't seen it, go give it a watch because I'm going to rewatch it soon. The next topic is Digimon. Digital monsters, Digimon are the champions. I've got a renewed love for Digimon because I've just started playing Digimon Story Time Stranger, and all I can say on that is, Pokemon, what are you playing at? You've had years and years and years and years and years of making games. You've got, you're stuck on the Switch, so I suppose you've got stuff that you have to deal with. But come on, man, you make billions, and Digimon's come out of a game. Digimon games haven't been that great so far. I've tried to play other ones, and they've not really gelled. They were some of them were kind of boring, or they didn't do what I wanted. Time Stranger feels like what Pokemon should be now. Sure, it's not open world as the new Pokemon games are, but they do voice acting. The world looks good. All the animations on all of the Digimon, they're all voiced. They all got actual actions where they do things. They don't just like have the 3D model and then it does tackle and just moves forward. Brilliant game. I'm enjoying it a lot. But back to anime, the Digimon anime, it's close to 2000. I think it was 1998 or 1999. I loved it. Like, Pokemon was okay. Like, watching that back for nostalgias, I can't get on with it. But I watched Digimon Try recently, and sure, there's issues. The fact that they made 6 whole films, which I watched while playing Time Stranger, but it's still there. It's still got that kind of edge. I felt like Digimon was more grown up. Like, maybe that's why it wasn't as popular, because they weren't aiming at little kiddies. They were aiming at like maybe slightly older, maybe teenage kids that wanted to, have Pokemon but cooler. And some of the designs still slap. Like Wargreymon, Weregarurumon, there's quite a few, and they're just like, seeing them again in Time Stranger has brought the nostalgia back. But it was one of those that I'd come home from school and straight away stick Digimon on. The Digimon theme song from the original Digimon Adventure series, iconic, love it. Still comes up to me if anyone says digital, I always think Digital Monsters. That's what I think every time, and the theme song plays in my head. But it was so iconic for the age because Pokemon was there, and then they came along, and Digimon had, everyone wanted a Digivice. Like, the whole thing. Even now, I would love if a Digivice fell from the sky and I got my own Digimon. Like, Pokemon's cool, but it was that thing of, it's a completely different universe, whereas Digimon was real. They were in the real world, and then they'd go into the digital world. And obviously at the time it was, coming up to the millennium, computers were coming around, we had access to the internet, and it just had that thing where I always felt Digimon was so much cooler than Pokemon. I just don't understand why it never took off in the way that Pokemon did. Like, it could have been a real contender, and I feel like maybe it was the games that did that, maybe because the games weren't as good. But Digimon, huge nostalgia, still love it now. Pokemon, not so much. Like, I love Pokemon Concierge, but that's more for the art, and its story is way better than anything they've done in the Pokemon animes for years. Like, Ash got really boring really fast. But Digimon, Tai always felt so cool, and everyone wanted to be Tai or Matt. But Digimon, magnifique. Now, my final pick for nostalgic anime is a bit of a weird one, but it meant something to me. So I won't say it's a stereotypical anime. It wasn't hand drawn. It was Beast Wars Transformers. Now, I was never into Transformers growing up. Like, I know it's a big thing for a lot of people. You know, they watch the original cartoons, and that's what they care about, like Optimus Prime. No, for me, Optimus Primal. I remember this was on, I think it was like ITV or Channel 5 or something growing up. And I used to literally go and sit in my mum's room and put it on, and I would sit and watch it while she got ready and I'd already got ready for school. I'd watch it in the morning. Oh man, it was so cool. Cheetah is my number one. He's my favourite Transformer of all time. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's because growing up I was always loved animals, and you know, it's like seeing some of these the way they transform was so cool, because I've never been into cars and, like, you know, cars, trucks and all this stuff. So to me, Transformers was a bit like, I'm not that fussed, you know, I don't care that it's a car, like it didn't. But the fact that they were on this planet and it was like they were all transforming from different animals. So you had like a rhino, you had Optimus Primal, who was a gorilla, you had Cheetah, who obviously was a cheetah. I'm trying to think of some more. There's so many. I'm sure Starscream was a pterodactyl, I think he was. But I had the toys and everything. Oh man, Beast Wars Transformers was sick. I loved getting the toys and obviously seeing how they like transformed and stuff, and like you snapped them all back in and they were an animal again, and they had some cool chrome ones and all stuff like this. Man, Beast Wars was sick. I can't really remember much of the story, but I do remember the kind of like started off proper looking like animals, and I'm sure later on they kind of became like more mecha animals, like they evolved or something. And I'm sure the one thing that irritated me was that the coolest ones for me, because I loved dinosaurs growing up, was that all the bad guys were like dinosaurs. It's like, why are they so cool? You've got like a gorilla, a cheetah, I don't know, turtle, whatever they had for the what were they called? It was obviously, they weren't Decepticons. They were called, I'm sure they had another name, but whatever. They had the Beasticons or the Dinocons or whatever they were. I just remember thinking, oh my god, they've got a T-Rex. Oh, they've got like a Triceratops. They've got a raptor. All this stuff. Oh man, it was so good. But Beast Wars Transformers is major nostalgia for me. It's the toys, the series itself, and I wish that they'd made it more, because it was just this kind of random offshoot that happened. And I don't care if they did it for the toys. You know, someone came up with a super cool toy idea and they went, hey, let's make the Transformers but into animals. Whatever, it worked. It worked on me. Anyway, I bought the toys, I watched the show, but it was interesting that it was CGI, because obviously with this I've been talking about animes, but it wasn't anime. I feel like it was the first one that I'd seen that was CGI, and they must have spent a boatload on this show, because nothing was really CGI. It was very basic. I'm sure if I watched it now I'd laugh at how bad it probably looks, but if they ever redid it, which maybe they did, I've not looked into it, you know, it's like, this is nostalgia, it's not me, I am obsessed with this now. But if they remake it, oh my god, that'd be amazing. I'd give it a shot. I honestly would. I'd sit and watch it. Just if they literally just kept the story pretty much the same, but maybe added a bit of flair, like modern age flair, which might be good, might be not, depending what they add in, you know. But I'd watch it. I'd give it a go. I'd maybe buy the toys. I might even look after this video to see if what they're selling for on eBay and get some of the nostalgic figures from back in the day. I'm sure they'll be like £1,000 or something, but yeah. So thank you for watching, guys. If there's any nostalgic anime you can think of, let me know in the comments below. Give us a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Cheers.